אחים ואחיות, יקרים ויקרות, אני פותח בסדרת סרטונים חדשה שנקראת בואו תראו. בסדרה הזו, מכללת ידע ואני צופים עבורכם בסרטונים שמופצים ברשת בכל מה שקשור ל-5G, לקורונה, לחיסונים, לצ'יפים, לכוונות של האנשים שעומדים מאחורי הממשלות. ואנחנו חותכים לכם מסרטונים של מאות שעות את ההיילייטים, כדי שאתם תוכלו לראות בעצמכם, וניתן לכם הפניות כדי לראות את הסרטונים המלאים. עושים עבורכם את העבודה. אז בואו תראו.
The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers. The whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is given me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish, you know? And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, you become a serf to these people. That's their goal, that's their intentions. He's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. Never told me what the event was going to be, but there was going to be an event, and out of that event, we were going to invade Afghanistan to run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We were going to invade Iraq, you know, to take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And we'd go after Chavez in Venezuela. And sure enough, later 9/11 happened, and I remember he was telling me how you're going to see soldiers looking in caves for people in Afghanistan and Pakistan and all these places, and there's going to be this war on terror, which is no real enemy, and the whole thing is a giant hoax, you know, but it's a way for the government to take over the American people.
He told you it was going to be a hoax.
Oh, yeah. Ridiculous. 9/11 was done by people in our own government and our own banking system to perpetuate the fear of the American people and to subordinating themselves to anything the government wants them to do.
He's become your friend over the previous years, and he's saying to you that there's going to be this big event, and then out of that we're going to have a war on terror, and it's just going to go on and on.
Right. An endless war on terror without any real enemy. That you can never define a winner. This whole war on terror is a fraud. It's a farce. It's very difficult to say it out loud because people are intimidated against saying it. Because if you say it, they want to make you into a nutcase.
Somebody was taking action and getting things done. He'd already made some big films, had a lot of other successes.
Right.
So they were trying to recruit you, and didn't it come down to the point of...
You know, as much as I like you, Nick, you know, your ways and my ways, we're on the opposite side of the fence. You know, I don't believe in enslaving people, you know, and...
And he would come back with, oh, I do? Or?
Well, it would be more like, you know...
It's better for them.
Well, it's more like, you know, how do I put it? It was like, what do you care about them? What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you? Take care of your own life. Do the best you can for you and your family. What do the rest of the people mean to you? They don't mean anything to you. They're just serfs. They're just people. You know, it was just a lack of caring, you know, and that's just not who I was. It was just sort of like cold, you know. It was just like cold, you know. And I used to say to him, what's the point of all this? You have all the money in the world you need. You have all the power you need. What's the point? You know, what's the end goal? And he said the end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society. To have the bankers, the elite people, you know, the bankers and some governor controlling the world. And I said, do all the people in the Council on Foreign Relations believe this way you do? He said, no. You know, most of them believe they're doing the right thing. Well,
we
I
were
believe-
thinking the people who might be able to man those kiosks would be the recovered patients. Now, we don't want to have a lot of recovered people. We don't want to have a lot of recovered people. You know, to be clear, we're trying through the shutdown in the United States to not get to 1% of the population infected.
Things that we want to talk about is what we were discussing a little bit ago, and that is the significance of this NASA war document that was found on the NASA website. That actually is a PowerPoint presentation by Dennis Bushnell, the chief NASA scientist at the Langley Center. And it was presented in 2001, July of 2001, just a few months before 9/11. And what brought my attention to it and immediately rang some uncomfortable realizations was when we first came across it. It says on the website, Future Strategic Issues, Future Warfare circa 2025. And as I decided to just flip through it quickly to see what it was about, I was a little stunned on page 4. On page 93, it said, "Capture, torture Americans in living color on prime time." And that is an unbelievable statement. Then it's followed up by saying, "Terror attacks within the continental United States using binary biologicals take down critical infrastructure." They are going to use an EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse. They're going to use radiation frequencies against our brains, etc., and conduct serious psy-war and collateral damage and exploitation. Then you go on and you read that on page 66, they say increasingly critical are human limitations and human downsides. Humans are too large, humans are too heavy, too tender, humans are too slow, both physically and mentally, and we require huge logistical trains, meaning we cost way too much money to maintain, and humans have rapidly decreasing to negative value. Can you even believe this? I mean, you're hearing this, and it's got to be rather shocking coming off of a NASA website, particularly when some of the agencies that are involved are the U.S. Air Force, DARPA, the CIA, the FBI, Southern Command, Atlantic Command, Australian Department of Defense, and other agencies. This is the corporation's agencies. We are USA Inc. We're no longer under a constitution as proclaimed in the Iron Mountain Report, which everyone should read. Positioned attacks upon the Constitution have rendered us now a corporation, and we no longer have a legitimate government. We are being controlled by corporations and banks that are posing as a legitimate government, and they're not. In the United States, this is a global planned attack and assault with technologies beyond most people's comprehension. They talk also about, on page 9, this is very interesting and horrifying. Humans have taken over and vastly shortened evolution. They're going to direct evolution. They believe, the bankers, the global elites, believe that they have accomplished immortality. And they're doing that, again, keeping in mind that this entire document is about robots, cyborgs, and humans. They've already mapped our brains. We've just recently heard that they can transfer a human brain into machinery. So whenever they tell us that this is a new scientific discovery, we know it's been decades and decades prior to us ever finding out about these things. And they also talk about microdust as a weapon. They say that this micron-sized mechanized dust, which is distributed as an aerosol and inhaled into the lungs, the dust mechanically bores into the lung tissue and executes various pathological missions. They say it's a completely new type of warfare, and it is legal. It's legal. This is what they're going to do to all the humans on the face of this planet. It's all legal. And then they talk about how the use of frequencies will be used in warfare. It's about a 20-page Army document that talks about the use of frequencies to target the enemy. We're the enemy. And they say 100% of the human population will be affected by these frequencies. And what they're doing is they're jamming our immune systems with these frequencies.
So how do the elite shield themselves from their own weapons?
Well, that's a really good question. And some of the information that we've come across is, of course, they have methods far ahead of anything that we have available to ourselves, such as cancer cures. They don't get cancer. There's chip mechanisms that we understand can fend off certain frequency attacks. We also know that they're interested in transhumanism. So much of what they're doing globally, they're interested in. They acknowledge that it will interfere with our performance, that it will cause seizures. They acknowledge this in this document. It is no longer a debate about smart meters. We don't need any more scientists or doctors saying people are getting sick. This is the intention. So we have to stop looking for more verifiable proof that people are becoming sick. This is the goal. This is the absolute goal. It's incarceration, it is enslavement, and it is depopulation. And it is massive mind control. The frequencies have multiple purposes. It says, Factor 6, cattle. Those who will not use their brains are no better off than those who have no brains. And so this mindless school of jellyfish, father, mother, son, and daughter, become useful beasts of burden, or trainers of the same. So what they say in this document is they will dole out poisonous foods. It's not what we need, but it's what we want, and those that decide to eat these foods will have the consequences of that. To protect us, to keep us crippled, to numb us down with foods so that our pineal gland is interfered with, we're never able to reach our higher consciousness. And right now, the massive fluoridation across the United States is to collapse the ability for us to think. They're shutting us down right now. One of the reasons that they send our men and women off to war is to reduce the population, because that they will use mass media propaganda. That is prevalent.
CNN syndrome, is that?
Yeah, that's one of the things that they call it, but they're literally going through this document. Oh, they're going to also use explosive dust opportunities. They talk about how, the dust will infiltrate deeply into buried and other such targets. They're saying in here too, if you move, they can see you and you're dead. That they will replace the education system with computers. They're saying that in the NASA document too. Our futures are being determined for us. Our lifespans are being decided upon. They're erupting everywhere, and they're disguising them as trees. They're disguising them in church steeples. Even when you drive through the desert, they're disguised into yuccas. And that is a cell phone tower. It says that towers will be used to emit frequencies. So again, this is their document. This is what they tell us on page 98. A typical scenario: takedown of the U.S. by 10 people and $10 million. Binary biologicals, imported vitamins and clothing, the food supply will be poisoned, terror attacks with vaccines and with viruses. They talk about our railroads will be attacked, selective anti-personnel with radiation frequencies, microwaves from the towers. The water supply will be contaminated via intercontinental unmanned vehicles. accompanied by serious psy-war, and that's the CNN syndrome. So they're telling us here how easy it would be to take down the United States with these new technologies.
And for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. The order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
Control. We were interested today to hear that more than 100 law enforcement officials in Mexico are having microchips implanted in their arms. The chips allow a person to be scanned, sort of like a cereal box at the supermarket checkout.
Mexico's Attorney General and 160 of his deputies have had microchips implanted in their arms.
Imagine a planet where every human being is required to be chipped at birth. This would be the final tool implemented in a command and control world government system in which the elite rule the map.
איך לספר לכם את החיים? פרנסה, זוגיות. אנחנו באנו לכאן בשביל להתאחד. יש כוח למחשבה, יש כוח לדיבור, יש שיטה. החיים שלכם מספיק יקרים כדי שתתנו להם את ההזדמנות הזאת.